So thank you very much. I'm glad to participate in these very intensive sessions. And thank you for the opportunity to present our initiative on interdisciplinary research confronting the pandemic. This initiative, next please, was developed in the Spanish National Research Council, CSIC, and it has been coordinated, or is still coordinated, by Iñaki Comas and myself. Iñaki, his research deals with tuberculosis, epidemiology, and transmission, and I research on viruses, immune response to infections, and vaccines. Next. The Spanish National Research Council is a very multidisciplinary institution, is the largest public research institution in Spain, and it covers, it has 125 research institutes, and it covers materials, life, and social sciences. When the pandemic was declared by the WHO, we launched this platform on global health, and we contacted all the principal investigators from CSIC and asked them for their ideas to confront the pandemic. Within hours or a few days, we received over 100 and several hundreds proposals. And from these, we selected those that were most interdisciplinary, most viable, most addressing immediate impact from the pandemic, most innovative, most collaborative. And these proposals that were selected and prioritized were backed financially first by private companies, and then, of course, by international and national competitive grant applications for research. Next. With this over 100 selected joint projects, we assembled this approach to confront the pandemic. And starting clockwise from the top, we worked on the origin, and for that, and evolution, and for that, we established the first sequencing of variants during the first wave, and what evolved after the first wave. And this was the Sequence COVID platform, and that was contributing sequences to the international open science databases. We also work on prevention, especially understanding how transmission took place, because understanding transmission gives you a hold to how to stop it. And transmission also is very important, because for respiratory infections, if we have transmission by aerosols or airborne to a significant proportion, which is more efficient than contact, that transmission by contact, this would, knowing how it happens and knowing how to stop it, and leading to a better air sanitation, would help us probably limit the disruptive potential for pandemic production of a new pathogen, because it would lower the degree of the number of pathogens that are actually in the air that one breathes, and that would limit the challenge that one's immune system has to face. So we think this would help lower some pandemics to just locally confined epidemics, and I think that would be a good point. Then we also looked at the disease, looking into the severity, the biomarkers that may allow to follow it, comorbidities, and especially focusing on the most vulnerable population, the elderly people, especially those in nursing homes. We also studied the immune response after infection and after vaccination, looking for surrogates of protection. We started a number of like 10 to 15 different methodologies for design of new diagnostic methods. They are all still evolving, and some of them are already into the market. So some of them have different advantages over others, but they are very creative. We also work on containment measures to block transmission, to allow containment, protection, and disinfection. And we do that on surfaces, also on textiles, and also on the air we breathe. Treatment is a very strong focus of our platform on global health. and especially vaccines, where we had several groups that had a decade-long research experience with coronaviruses, with vaccines to coronaviruses, to animal and human coronaviruses. But we also started studying at the same time antivirals, both drug repurposing and neo-antivirals. And here there is something that I have heard before for France. Drug discovery research labs are very fragmented in Spain, as was suggested for France, and they had a lot of chemistry research groups had a lot of compounds they had researched over years, but we never managed to do what we managed with the momentum and the generosity and the devotion that we had with this pandemic, which is to assemble all these compounds into a single usable CSIC chemical library. We are using that from the beginning for screening for antivirals, new drugs for the coronavirus, but also for other viruses, as well as for other pathogens. And this CSIC chemical library is also amenable to screening for other diseases. Then we went on to impact. We had a series of groups working on demography of infectious diseases, the demography of past pandemics, demography of the elderly population, especially those in elderly care homes. And these demographers collaborated a lot with groups with other expertise to mount, especially in interdisciplinary groups. And they helped understand what was happening in the very tragic first wave in Spain with the elderly homes. And this helped turned together with a good evaluation, a critical evaluation of what was happening during the first wave that took place a few months later only. This helped turn what was a very black situation during the first wave into a white situation, much more amenable to control, concerning the impact of the pandemic into the elderly care homes. And last but not least, communication. We have been very busy with communication to mass media, to social media, and to the citizens in general, and with science dissemination. So altogether, what we intended with this platform that was hosting more than 100 collaborative groups was to be ready at the country level to confront this pandemic and to be ready for the next pandemic. As an example, in Spain, we do not have still any manufacturing plant for human vaccines, although we are very good at manufacturing veterinary vaccines here locally. Next, please. So concerning main achievements in technology transfer, for example, we work with personal protection equipment such as masks, next, and with diagnostic tests to detect antibodies to SARS coronavirus. And for example, this first one, which was developed in July 2020, was the first also to meet later on an agreement with the medicines patent pool of the WHO with the accelerator for COVID tools, and is now freely produced in South Africa. And we have other diagnostic tools that are already following the same path. Next. Concerning screening for antivirals, repurposing and new, we have 2 phase 3 clinical trials coming out from the platform for drug repurposing. We are also working on recombinant antibodies, actually nanobodies produced by camelids, and both for therapy and diagnostics. We are working on an oral antiviral spray for the coronavirus. And as I told you, we have antiviral screening platforms with a CSIC chemical library. Next, concerning vaccines, it is clear that for the pandemic, the best option is and has been fast vaccines. But these vaccines protect mainly the vaccinated person, and this is good enough. It is extraordinary. It is fascinating. But we need second generation. We need a next step where we can protect also the society from the pandemic, where we have sterilizing vaccines or vaccines that prevent better infection of the vaccinated people. And from the beginning, we started with this goal to try to attain long-lasting immune memory at all cellular and humoral compartments, to prevent infection as much as possible, and to do so for this respiratory pathogen and others similar by doing mucosal immunization. Right now, we have 5 vaccine candidates using different approaches. One is the poxvirus vector, MVA. Then we have a complex RNA vaccine candidate, a DNA one, and a protein one. All of them have fully accomplished the preclinical phases. Next. So besides collaborating a lot in this interdisciplinary research, what we did was also to focus to the outside and to transfer to society and stakeholders in global health, not only to companies. We also developed biosafety facilities, which were scarce in Spain. We also strengthened the links to the healthcare sector. We work next on scientific platforms, not only this CSIC chemical library, but also production of antigens and antibodies for diagnostics. And otherwise, a master degree in pandemics online for professionals as well as academics, and in Spanish for the whole Spanish-speaking world. And we also move within the One Health approach, human health, animal health, and environmental health. And we're focusing on emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases, on antimicrobial resistance and zoonosis. So this is our legacy, how to pursue with this platform. And in the last slide, please, what we have done is when we had with this in mind, to work forward for the future, and knowing that each outbreak and pandemic will be different and will require a tailored response, but always very rapid. What we did was, when we had severe encephalitis outbreaks caused by the West Nile virus in the south of Spain, in swamps and rice fields, we set in 2021 a task force, and this task force, with research together with the local government and together with very much citizen support, managed to stop the outbreak in 2021 and also in 2022. This is transmitted by insects and birds. And again, next, when we started with the monkeypox virus, next please, with the monkeypox virus outbreak, we established already in May a new task force, because we have a good number of virologists which are specialists for decades in pox viruses. We have a high concentration here in Spain compared with the rest of Europe, and we are working with providing a reference virus isolate, because Spain is one of the countries that has been most hit on a per capita basis by this monkeypox outbreak, working on wastewater diagnostics to anticipate what's happening in different cities and neighborhoods, work on serologic tests for assessing population immunity, especially immunity of adults and elderly adults that were vaccinated with the human smallpox vaccine, assessing transmission, which is one of our strong focus, and working on antiviral resistance and new vaccines. Thank you very much.